So my question is a little different from a little away from feminism. Um, do you think homosexuality, uh, children should be allowed to think, or let them observe themselves, or how do you think you take this subject up?
I feel that it should be taken very normally. It is not something that is to be hyped, or like, oh my god, that kind of a feeling should not come, because every individual is different. Every individual has got his or her own perceptions or thinking. So let the child go the way he wants to.
Yeah, that is true. But then, how does it happen in college? Do you think that they feel that they have certain traits and then they figure out नहीं ऐसा कुछ नहीं है? Have you come across
No,
any?
not any particular case like this. That because our society is such that it does not let such things come to the surface.
Yeah, but it could be like they discover themselves to be something else from what they have.
Possible.
Been.
Possible.
Yeah.
So these guys, suppose if it's a guy, okay, and if probably he is attracted towards the male, towards the males. So what happens in our society? Others call them pansy. Okay, so probably the way he's walking, or his body language, like the way he uses his hands or the way he walks. So it is looked upon not normally. I feel this should not be the case. It should be very normal. If he's attracted towards
The
his
same
own
gender.
same gender, it's normal. It should be considered as normal, not giving him a term or a nickname or
Yeah, because that's God's creation.
yeah.
Eventually, it is just how He has
True.
made this child, and we should appreciate everything that He has created.
Right.
I'm sure He had a plan, right?
Yes.
Right. What about the schools? We spoke about how it is a subject in sociology. Did we speak about that? Did you?
No, no.
Yeah. So how is it? In school, like, do you guys have a subject on feminism?
As far as my knowledge goes, in arts there is a subject called as sociology, and psychology and sociology. I'm sure they cover it up to a certain extent.
They do.
Yeah.
Yeah, and but then how do the children, like, what is have you seen anybody reacting very positively or very negatively towards this?
It definitely creates some kind of inquisitiveness in the child, but today there is so much of information explosion. If a child feels anything, so what I feel what he does is that, and everybody has a phone with him or her, or a laptop with him or her. So what the child does, he simply goes Google surfing, okay, the meaning of this, the meaning of that. And because of this, probably it can also lead to misinformation, because everything that we read on internet is not necessarily true. So we have to understand, we have to figure out for ourselves as to what kind of material we need to expose the child to, and expose him to only that much information.
And what are the different strategies that you come up with, to make your child understand, make the because when we are dealing at home, we have just one child or two children, but you guys take care of so many children, like hundreds of children in a college or in a school.
Classroom.
So how do you deal with it? Like, every child is different. They could be best of friends, but they are still two different personalities, two different souls that come up with different kinds of thought processes. So how do you deal with it? Is with every child, is it the same, or it is even when? And what about, my question also is, what about girls and what about boys? I mean, have you seen any difference in this whole journey?
Okay. So I'll answer your questions one by one. One is that how is every child is different. The way you tackle A and the way you tackle B is totally different. Like, for example, suppose if a child you give him a task to do. Okay, the way he thinks and does his task is different. Probably somebody else you give that same task, he will look at it differently. We've all heard of this story, everybody knows about it, looking at a glass of water. Okay, somebody says it is half full and somebody says it is half empty, right? If it is half full, so it is your perception. That way every child is different. How we take care of different children, like for example, say when I'm taking a lecture in a classroom and there are about 120 students sitting in a classroom, so it is like to understand whether this child is understanding what I'm teaching or not is different. Probably, you'll have, that is why teachers need to bring themselves up to the level of the child and understand whether the child is understanding or not, and put the concept in such a manner that he grasps it, understands it, and takes it further ahead. As far as girls or boys are concerned, gender studies wise, I would not, you cannot say that girls are probably more intelligent or boys are more intelligent. Everybody is equally intelligent. It is how you use your intelligence. Like for example, suppose say I'm speaking something or I'm teaching something, it is possible that you half listen to me, then you dream, and then you come back, but maybe you are intelligent enough to fill in the blanks as to what ma'am must have said at that particular point of time, and you continue understanding the concept. But there would be another child, probably he would not be able to fill in the gaps. So what I, as a teacher, probably in a classroom, what I do is that, and I feel that other teachers also should do, is that they should take feedback, or they should keep on asking questions from children in between to understand are they at their wavelength.
So with this growing thing, initially, like maybe 10 years ago, did you feel that boys were different from now, and girls have actually come running towards, like that line, just to match up, or to be together, or get that equal status,
Right.
equal whatever. So did you feel like that with kids? I'm not talking about our age people, I'm talking about with kids. Have you seen a difference? Like first girls were more subdued, more timid, more shant, and now that this whole thing is gotten all faster. So did you see any?
There is definitely a lot of difference.
Yeah.
The generation, I would say today's generation, what we call as the millennial generation, okay, is far more different than what kids I have seen in my life before. Like I've been into teaching profession for the past now 18 plus years, okay, and what students I see today and what I have seen, like probably 10 years before or 5 years before also, there is a lot of difference, the way
So
they perceive things, the way they look at things,
In the boys or in the girls also?
in the boys and the girls. Like for example, say a simple thing in college, like if earlier, like I would say 15 years back, okay, say there's a classroom, and so it's a co-education college, so we would normally see that the girls would sit in a row or the boys would sit in some other row. So this was there before, but now it is not like this. Whoever wants to sit wherever they sit, so they don't have that in their mind, that I am sitting with a girl or I am sitting next to a boy. So that probably is, I
that
feel
division has been
yeah. So they're thinking
slowly
everything is
disappearing.
normally. It's very, very normal to have, to sit or sit in a library. Otherwise, earlier it used to happen that the girly group used to be separate and the boys group used to be separate, and or probably they used to hang around. But now it is like they hang around together, they eat together, they share their tiffins, they study together. They help each other in different projects. So like
That's so amazing.
for a GD or something, when the projects they have to do, so they would choose their groups in such a manner that okay, I want to be with her or I want to be him in my presentation or groups. So I feel that we have moved ahead.
Yeah, and that whole distance is slowly coming to an end.
Yeah.
And I think it is good because yeah, it's not only good for the children, it is also good for the people around them. Children के लिए I feel कैसे अच्छा है is because एक तो they don't have this thing कि मैं ये नहीं कर सकती या मैं ये नहीं कर सकता. It's वहाँ पे then they learn teamwork, then they learn no discrimination,
Right,
in
right,
any sector.
right.
So it is so, I mean, important.